What should your day look like as a freight broker? This is one of the top questions that I get. A lot of people who are getting into freight brokering might be working by themselves for a little bit. Maybe you have one or two helpers. But I wanted to answer that question from the perspective of somebody who is running the business by themselves. That means you're wearing a lot of hats. You're the accountant, you're the operations manager, you're negotiating with carriers, you're prospecting with shippers, you're doing all of these things. What is the best way to structure your day so that you don't fall behind, you can still deliver a good service, and you're still moving your business forward so that eventually you could take those things off of your plate? All right, so I'm going to list out how I would organize my day if I were a one-man freight brokerage. Number one, the first thing that I would do when I got in the morning is check on all of the active loads that I have moving. The work that you have right now has to take priority over everything else. Answering emails, making sales calls, all of those things. That takes a little bit of a back seat while you focus on what you already have. Because if you can't manage what you have, you won't be able to manage anything else. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would do. I would check on all the active loads, I would track them, I'd call the carriers, I'd email them, find out if there's any fires to put out. And that should take about 30 to 45 minutes, maybe even less than that. Okay, the second thing that I would do is I would look at any of the pending loads that I have that need to be covered, right? This still falls under that umbrella of active work. We still have obligations that we have to meet with our customers. We can't neglect those for our benefit of growing the business, if that makes sense. So after I tracked all my current loads, I would absolutely try to cover any pending loads. And now this might not be linear because trucks come and go, right? Load boards are refreshing constantly. You might not be able to find a truck right after you do your tracking. And if you can't, that's okay. We're just gonna leave it, post it up. We're still gonna send out some emails. And as we go through the day, we're gonna check back in on this, okay? Number three, I'm gonna follow up with shippers who I've already made contact with. Now, I would call these guys active shippers. These are shippers that have answered your emails before. They've asked you for quote requests. Maybe they told you to follow up with them. You don't want to be reaching out to cold shippers yet because we're still trying to make our day as efficient as possible. Part of being efficient is going after that low-hanging fruit. So if you already made contact with somebody, say yesterday, last week, last month, it's much easier to shoot them an email. You already have their contact information. You know their emails, you know their phone numbers, their names. Maybe you shared a conversation with them already. That's what I would do next, okay? So that's number three on the list. First, we're gonna check on our active orders. Then we're gonna try to cover any pending loads. After that, we're gonna go after any active shippers we've already spoken to as a quick follow-up. This will bring you to about 10, 11 o'clock, depending if you start your day at 7 or 8, right? So we're getting to right before lunchtime. That's when you wanna start making those cold calls. And cold calls could really carry you through the rest of the day because you have different time zones, people are coming and going from lunch, loads are getting dropped, loads are coming up, right? All that stuff starts to happen around midday. So that's when I prefer to make phone calls, and that's where I've seen the greatest success with our sales reps. When you do your sales calls in the morning, what happens is, yeah, you could get lucky with people getting into the office early and maybe you're the first one to call them, so they give you a little bit more attention. But in the morning is also the busiest time for these shipping managers because they're doing the exact same thing you're doing. They're not necessarily thinking about adding a new vendor onto their shipping list the first thing that they walk into the office. So I like to let them get settled in a little bit, let them get into the groove of things, let things fall apart, then give them a call because you'll have a much higher likelihood of them actually listening to what you have to say. Okay? So now, these cold calls are going to carry us for the rest of the day, but in the background, we still have to be managing our business operations. So about 1 to 2 hours in, after cold calling, you're going to want to check on all of your active loads again. A quick midday check call. Send your carriers an email, see if there's any problems that you need to address. Because like I said, delivering a top quality service has to be at the top of your list. The only way you could do that is if you, as a business owner, know everything that's going on at all times. So make sure you get some midday tracking in there. After that, you can get back to sales calls, and this could carry you until the end of the day, until about an hour before the day's end. When things start to quiet down, people are going home, work days are ending sooner now. A lot of people go home at 4 o'clock. That's when you're going to want to start doing your admin work. That's checking your payables, checking your receivables. Has everybody paid you? Did carriers ask where their check is? Maybe a check got lost in the mail. All of those things you want to be doing at the end of the day. The reason is this is really mindless work in the beginning. It doesn't take much effort. It's not going to tax you. It's not going to demotivate you. It's something easy that you can do towards the end of the day, right? So I like to put that stuff all the way at the end. And if I have to stay after, maybe if I have to stay till 6, 7 o'clock doing those things, then that's what you have to do. All right. So that's a quick, easy schedule you can use to schedule your day as a freight broker. In the beginning, you should be doing a lot of work out of hours. That means at night you should be prospecting, you should be adding people on LinkedIn, you should be making, not necessarily making calls, but you should be organizing yourself so that you can attack your day with full force every single time you go into the office. All right, so make sure you make some time at night to do little things on social media. Maybe reach out to some shippers with LinkedIn messaging, or write down a list of shippers that are on your hit list to call. Maybe take log of who you followed up with and who not. You could do all of those things outside of office hours. That's especially going to be important if you just started up and you're a one-man show. All right, so I hope this helped you. If you would like a little bit more help with brokering and you're interested in more of this kind of stuff, I recommend you join my free group. It's called the Freight Broker Network. We're on Facebook, and I'm in there all day. All of my broker friends are in there all day answering questions about brokering, the industry, all of that stuff, ultimately to help you get better at brokering. All right, so I hope to see you inside there, and I'll see you on the next video.